Good afternoon, Dr. Johnson Coleman and fellow students. With every equality moment, there's a pivotal moment that causes change. The pivotal moment for the LGBT community or equality movement was the event that occurred in a nightclub on June 28, 1969. Today, I would like to inform you about the Stonewall Riots or the Stonewall Uprising, an event that catapulted the LGBT movement. I chose this moment in history as October is the National Coming Out Month, and National Coming Out Day for the LGBT community was recognized in the United States October 11, 2016. Today, I will speak with you about the causes of the Stonewall Riots, what happened the night of the riots, and the lasting effects of the riots on the equality or civil rights movement for the LGBT community. What caused the riots? I would first like to talk about what caused the riots. During the 1960s, there was an anti-sodomy laws in effect in many cities in the United States, including New York. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, or LCLU.org, in 9 states, sodomy laws were explicitly rewritten to apply only to gay people. These laws prohibited solicitation of homosexuality or homosexual behaviors. On the night of the Stonewall Uprising, the patrons and the owners at the Stonewall Inn grew tired of being legally justified or legally harassed through raids at the club. I would like to next talk about what happened on the night of the Stonewall Riots or Uprising. The Stonewall Inn was a gay and lesbian bar located in Greenwich Village, New York. On June 28, 1969, at 1:30 p.m., the police raided the club due to illegal solicitation of alcohol at the Stonewall Inn. Although the raid was justified, the raid was only done to prevent the solicitation or illegal solicitation of homosexuality and harassment of homosexuals in the club. During that raid, the police cleared out the bar. They roughed up some of the patrons and arrested any patron that did not wear 3 or more gender-appropriate articles of clothing at the Stonewall Inn. During this raid, the onwards that left the club without being arrested gathered and began to protest. They began with 200 patrons. At the end, or during the time of the Stonewall Uprising, that increased to 400 people. At that point, the police officers had to barricade themselves inside of the inn while the uprising continued. The riot ultimately continued. It was the location of the Stonewall Inn, the Christopher Park, located next to the Stonewall Inn, and the sidewalk area surrounding that was affected by the uprising. This uprising lasted for 5 days. According to the application submitted for the Stonewall Inn and Christopher Park, to become a national landmark, participants began chanting, throwing pennies, beer cans, and other objects, and the police were forced back into the bar. Reinforcements were called in, and for several hours, the police tried to clear the streets while the crowd fought back. There were many lasting effects of the Stonewall Uprising. The Stonewall Inn became a symbol of resistance and social and political discrimination. The Stonewall Inn Uprising inspired the LGBT movement, and gay rights movement. The first gay liberation march was held in 1970, and the first LGBT pride was held in San Francisco as well in 1970. The Stonewall Uprising served as a catalyst for activism with organizations such as the Gay Lesbian Front and the Gay Activist Alliance. In 1974, Kathy Kozachenko was the first openly gay American publicly elected official, publicly elected to office in Auburn, Michigan. In 1977, Harvey Milk was elected city county supervisor in San Francisco, and he was also the first openly gay male who was openly gay prior to his acceptance into the public office, or being held public office. And in 2016, Barack Obama designated the site of the Stonewall Inn uprising as a national monument, including the Stonewall Inn, Christopher Park, and the surrounding streets and sidewalks. After giving you all this information about the Stonewall Inn riots, I would like to take this time to ask any questions anyone may have. Does anyone have any questions for me? Yes.
This might be a little inappropriate, but why do you think Obama legalized, what is it,
Legalize the same-sex marriage?
Yes.
I believe it's a separation between certain church and state. And with that understanding, even though religiously some people might not agree with homosexuality, it is the idea of the government not to mix the two, because not everyone shares the same political or religious views. So with that being said, I believe he legalized it because he understood there's a separation between church and state, and it should be respected. Everyone should be treated equally and respectably, equally. And I feel like if you pay taxes to a government, you should be allowed to marry who you please and have the same civil rights as everyone. Yes.
Okay, I know that you just made that last statement, but what is your personal view on LGBT?
My personal view on the LGBT community as a member of it is that even with outside of a member, I have many friends. Before I actually came out, I had a time of my life I didn't want to share that with anyone because I was afraid. And it's cases like back in 1997 with Matthew Shepard, who was brutally murdered and left out in a field because of his choices, because people often stigmatize homosexuality as being something, it's something they don't agree with. And with that becomes prejudice with like any other movement. This is why the Stonewall Inn uprising was so important, because it became this catalyst, it became this understanding that no longer should someone be susceptible to abuse, because their ideas of what they believe in, how they feel, who they date are different than yours. And even with, like I said, the raid on the inn was justifiable. They were not supposed to be selling or soliciting alcohol. That was their error. However, I believe the police used that as a legal justification to harass the patrons at the bar and the owners of that bar. Did anyone else have any other questions for me? Okay, well, I thank you guys for both giving me those questions. Honestly, those are tough questions to answer because everyone, like I said, everyone has their different viewpoints, and I'm glad you gave me the opportunity, and I'm glad that you did ask me those questions. Neither one were inappropriate. I don't believe they were. They're honest questions. And in conclusion, around 400 rioters were involved in the Stonewall uprising. The riots lasted for 5 days, and like I said, they had many impacts. The Stonewall uprising served as a catalyst for the civil rights movement in the LGBT community. Because of this uprising, we now have an abundance of LGBT civil rights organizations, laws preventing the discrimination of homosexuals, and even the passing of the same-sex marriage into law. In 2016, the Stonewall Inn, Christopher Park, and the surrounding streets declared a national landmark. I'd like to take this time once again, thank you for listening to the speech from me and taking that information in. Is there anything else? Got you guys? All right, thank you.